I'd like to invite Pradyot Burman. Pradyot Burman is the chairman and editor of the Northeast Today magazine, the largest selling monthly magazine in the region. And he is also the recipient of Northeast TV's Entrepreneur of the Year 2014.
I'm the youngest of all the panelists speaking here, though I'm not that young comparatively. Somi has given a very good cultural perspective of Manipur, and the two ladies before me, Bina, just before me, has spoken about Irom, Sharmila, and the impact of women in the Manipuri society. Angna has given a perspective from the national point of view. I would like to, I'm not an authority on specific issues of Kashmir or Manipur, but I am from Northeast, and I am from a state of Tripura. Now, I've studied all my life in Northeast. My father was the last king of Tripura, and my grandmother is a signatory in the instrument of accession, merger. My grandfather was the last ruling king of Tripura. So I come from a family which has been in a very important period, because Tripura merged with India in 1949, along the same time when Manipur merged with India. Many of the people here are aware of 9/11. There was 9/11 which happened in northeast of India in 1958, when AFSA was imposed. Unlike Jammu Kashmir, where it took place in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, we have seen that for the last 5-6 decades. And whether we like it or not, we have seen this through our eyes, and we know how it feels to live under the rule of AFSA. Let me start talking about the state where I come from, Tripura. Just before Somi started speaking, he spoke about the chicken's neck, which connects Sikkim, through Sikkim, northeast to the rest of the country. 98% of India is not connected with northeast, where we come from. They're just connected by a chicken's neck, which is Sikkim and the Sikkim area. Now, the population of Tripura, where we come from, rose by 165% between 57 to 1965. What it did was that scores of unsettled migrants from Bangladesh, East Pakistan at that moment, came over to our state, and suddenly an ethnically tribal state got into a minority. We lost our franchise democratically, we lost our administration, and one would be surprised, but 80% of our cabinet today, more or less, in the state is born in another country. But that's the irony. I also represent the Congress Party of India. I'm a General Secretary in my state. So I cannot say I'm apolitical. I am political. But then, the best power I can speak as an ethnic, indigenous person of the region is that of preservation of identity, preservation of our culture, and the solutions. Today, AFSA has been in effect for a long time. What it has done, in our state at least, and in certain other parts of the northeast, is been used to ensure that there is no development. It is ensured that out of the 87 schools in the Autonomous District Council, 43 are kept just to house the army or the CRPF or the militaries. Now what it does is it creates a fear of a sense of alienation between the people of Northeast and the rest of the country. Now what are the solutions? You know, we can come to America, I can come to Harvard and I can speak from the national perspective. Things don't work like that. You know, we have these great meetings in Delhi, which is the national capital. People come from America, England, they come from Switzerland, they sit in a 5-star hotel or in a lovely conference hall, we discuss the problems of Northeast. Nobody actually goes there. I'll tell you a story which which will give you in perspective. There was a huge farmers' convention in Delhi recently, and all the farmers from, America has big farms, so all the farmers from America, they came down to the national capital. They were from America, and as usual, they got stuck up in the South Block where there were bureaucratic meetings, and we discussed about fertilizers and infrastructure development. So one of the true, this American farmer, he's from Texas. This is my first time to America, but this is what I've seen. So he said, he was like, I want to see the real India. So he got into this, quietly got out of the 5-star hotel where he was staying, got into a taxi, and told the taxi driver, take me to the rural India. So the taxi driver obviously took him to close by to Delhi, near Gurgaon, Haryana, Brijwasan, where they were the earliest places where you get farmlands. There he saw an Indian farmer. So he went up to the Indian farmer and he said, Mister, how big is your farm? So this Indian farmer said, Sarji, you see that road that side? He said, yes. He said, you see this river this side? He said, yes. He said, everything in between is my land. So this American farmer said, I wake up every day at 5:30, get into my tractor, and by the time I reach the eastern end of my farm, it's 11:30. So I have an early lunch, I do a bit of my work. By the time I reach the southern end of the farm, it's 4:30. And I have my cup of coffee, I say hi to all my farmers and I see my cattle. And by the time I reach home, it's 8, I get to my tractor, and by the time I reach home, it's 8:30. So the Indian farmer looked at him and said, I know, I had a tractor like that once. Because we don't know the problem. And that is the same isolation which our North Bloc is with our Northeast. The solutions that they have in their minds are not necessarily connected to the aspirations of the people in our region. AFSA is one aspect of it, but we have various other problems. Dams which are coming up, minings which are taking place. There is a dam in Tripura in 1970s. Fertile land was submerged under water to create the Dumbur Dam. Today, at its best period, it got only 4 megawatts. Thousands of indigenous tribal families were dislocated. They never got their rehabilitation because they didn't have land papers. Now that's happening in Arunachal Pradesh. It's happening in Upper Assam. Are we going to create power at the cost of alienating people from the land where they've been living for thousands of years? Yes, we want development. But development cannot be thrust upon us from a perspective which is alien to us. There is a lot of ways of development to come up. One thing which Mr. Somi Roy said was the Eastern Corridor. Definitely. But what are we planning on? We are planning to mine. So we do illegal coal mining, cement mining, limestone mining, which kills the local forest cover. But yet, there are policies and subsidies which tell the rest of the country, come and do this in this region and we'll give you subsidies. So our policy, economic policy, is again flawed towards the region. Finally, we talk about militancy, we talk about AFSA. I have seen AFSA, I have seen militancy. And believe me, AFSA had to solve a problem on our region. It would have done so 25, 30 years ago. It's failed. We need to relook at it. Our Prime Minister himself has admitted that we need a more human approach. The point is, do we have the courage to stand up against a law which does not work? Or do we depend on one individual to go on hunger strike while we rally behind the figure? I think a system has to be created where dissension is not seen as anti-national. A dialogue is not a duel. It is a debate. And yes, we need to look at one thing which really bothers us, the sense of insecurity. Infiltration is a big issue in our region. If the armed forces are required, they're required to protect our borders to see that infiltration stops. Places like Tripura, Assam, lower parts of Meghalaya have been flooded with immigrants. It is changing our demographic and our entire electoral and our entire history. How do we counter that? If 300 people crossed over to Kargil, the rest of the country went to war. 150,000, 200,000 people from Bangladesh come over to Northeast. We call it assimilation. That's hypocrisy. And we need to stand up and speak as one voice. And that can only happen when we go back from here, back to our homeland, back to our region, and make an effort. Because no matter how many seminars we have and no matter how many podiums we speak at, eventually what matters is here. And you need to have a commitment to fight. I am going to fight. And I'm going to fight the way I can. And I'm not going to stop others. But what I'm going to say is that our fight today is more against, oh, he's a Naga. Oh, he's a Khasi. Oh, I'm a Borok. Oh, she's a Bengali. No. We are eventually people who are affected in a region. Our problems are more or less the same. And the reason why we are not clicking is because we are not united. The day we unite, we can do lots of things together. So that's why I would like to commend someone like Irom. I never met him. This is my first time to America. He's invited me. This conversation doesn't end right here. We speak some more. We try to bring a model which works, where we don't only stick on to our linguistic lines or our culture. We say, okay, these are the points of contention. Let's keep it aside. Let's work on development. And that's the only way ahead. And till then, we need to work and we need to fight and we need to think positively. Because I think eventually what will unite us is not our seriousness or our tears, but the ability to smile at each other and show warmth. Thank you very much.